Poderosos e queridos amigos e amigas, I'm here with Shaun Ritchie. Shaun was with us in Recife, Brazil, for some trainings and meetings, and I start now face-to-face firesides like a couple of weeks ago. So I wanna ask Shaun some questions here. Shaun, what do you do? Like, so what kind of business you have?
All the businesses that I've been involved with are all technology companies, technology businesses. For the last 25 years, I started out with internet marketing and online businesses. Then I moved into a venture-backed software business. We grew that. We ended up selling that business to another much larger company. And then now we do cloud services. So we help a lot of companies set up their cloud infrastructure with databases, all sorts of, managing data, helping companies to leverage the power of AI in their own businesses. So those are the kinds of businesses that I've been involved in.
Okay, I'm curious now. So, did you start as an employee, or you just started as an entrepreneur?
I started as a failed employee. I was not able to get a job. This was in 2002, right after in the U.S. kind of led the dot-com crash. It was difficult to get a job in technology, and I tried to get a job, and I was not able to do so. And I came across a couple of really interesting opportunities, and I said, hey, I have nothing to lose. Why not jump into this and figure something out? And so I did. And my good friend who I met at college, I went to BYU, and I met him, became very good friends. And I knew that we were very compatible in our styles and our approaches. We don't think the same way, we think differently, but we think very compatibly. And I knew that he was somebody I could trust for the long term. And 25 plus years later, we're still business partners in many respects. So that's a very important thing, is to have a business partner that you can absolutely and fundamentally trust. Anyway, so we started that business together and just grew it. And the idea was that we were just going to do this until the business failed and we had to go get real jobs. And we never got a real job. We just kept building more in different businesses, finding new ways to apply technology in different areas. And here we are.
Wow, that's great story. So, what are the most important things you see for that the entrepreneur they need to have to start a business? Even a small business.
Yeah. I think the most important thing for an entrepreneur who wants to start a business, don't think about the product. Don't think about what you're going to sell. I think a lot of entrepreneurs or would-be entrepreneurs, they want to figure out, if I could sell this thing, if I could sell that thing, if I could find a thing to sell, or if I could provide a service, what would that be? And I could sell that.
Right.
I don't think that's the right approach. It could be, and that could be successful. I think the more important question to answer is, who can I serve? Who is my customer? And what do they need? And if I can solve the difference between my ideal customer, who I want to sell to, I like to talk to these people. I want to be engaged with these people. I want to be a part of their world, right?
Right.
Why would I want to sell something who I don't like the people? Well, I don't like who I'm selling to. I don't want to sell to those people or businesses or companies. I want to identify with those people who I want to sell to. So identify the person or the company or the industry or the market, right? Who is that person you want to sell to? And what are their challenges? What are their problems? And if I can solve the equation between the need of this customer, it's not one customer, it's many customers, obviously, to have many customers. But if I can start with one and then apply that to several, because they think similarly, they have a similar need, they're similar, they think about, there's a commonality between all these customers, and it's usually because they have the same problem that they need to solve. And if I can solve that, and if I can be the variable that is the difference between the customer need and where I am, if I can figure out the loop in that process and get feedback, of course, but there's an equation in there. And if that's it, I think about, if I can solve that equation, then I'm going to be successful.
Right. So as long as the entrepreneur, they have this, they figure out that. So how can they grow with the business, What's the right moment to do it? Is that a right moment?
There's no right moment, but there is a replicable or repeatable process that I can identify, that I can solve your problem or your challenge and their challenge, his challenge, her challenge, right? That's the repeatable process. That's how I grow. In my first business, I started with one customer. It was a pretty big company, right? They had a problem and I thought I could solve it. We knew how to solve it. This particular customer was a trucking company, one of the larger trucking companies in the United States. And they needed to hire truck drivers. They had a challenge of hiring truck drivers. And they were coming from the days of buying billboards on the side of freeways and writing their phone number across the back of a truck. Or taking out newspaper ads. That's what they were doing. And there was this new technology called the internet. And I thought, why couldn't I find potential truck drivers on the internet? Everyone's on the internet now, right? Or most people were at that time. I think truck drivers are on the internet too. But most people didn't think that. Most people thought it was some college kids or something like that's who was on the internet back then. But I thought, I bet I could find truck drivers or people who want to become a truck driver on the internet. And sure enough, we did. And so that was the problem, of the challenge that this company had, was there's an insatiable demand. And they needed so many drivers because they're a pretty big company. And we figured out a way. We were one of the first providers who could find truck drivers in a different way than they had been doing before. And we had one customer for about a year, and we were solving their challenges as much as we possibly could. And we went deep with that customer. In fact, there were a couple of times when they didn't pay their invoices on time, and I had to get on a plane and fly down to a different state and knock on their door and say, hey, I need the check. I need it now because I don't have any money. Those kinds of things, all those kinds of things. So we had one customer, and we focused on the one customer, and we were able to replicate that, what we were solving for that one customer, to another and another and then another. And we ended up growing that business quite significantly by solving that one customer's challenge and thinking that we could apply our solution to others that looked and operated similar. There's many trucking companies in this country, in every country, right? And so that was our target market, but it was a market of one. And they were a big enough business that we could say, okay, we can grow our business pretty significantly with one customer. It was a B2B type of an engagement. It wasn't B2C, to consumer. That's a different market. And I don't really profess to know very much about how to grow a consumer business. Because from that start of focusing on a business to business sale, I've spent my entire career in business to business. Because I figured out how to do that, and that's where I need to focus. So the consumer world, selling to individuals, I don't know that very well. I think many other people know how to do that much better than I do. So choose my lane, choose my type of business and company, and I can be more successful there.
Sure, right. So with your knowledge, expertise, and experience, what are some advice or ideas that you can give to the Brazilians that you visit some business there, right?
We visited many businesses all across Recife.
So what are some ideas that you can give to them to, I know there are different kind of business that you visit that, but what are some ideas for them to grow the business?
Again, I think it doesn't matter where in the world. We can be in Africa. I visited businesses in Africa. I visited business in South America, Central America, the Philippines, many countries in the world. But I think the business principles are universal. They are the same no matter where you are. There's some differences in technology. It could be, WhatsApp business. We don't use WhatsApp for business in the United States, but it is a tool in Latin America that is absolutely
So
fantastic. It's so powerful. We don't have that here. So I think there's an advantage in many cases to using an application like that we don't have in the United States. And so take advantage of those local opportunities and those local technologies and those local, insights into a particular market, because you will know, those customers, and you can identify with those customers. But choose the customer who you really want to serve. And I think of it from a service perspective. We read in the scriptures and in the gospel of Jesus Christ about service.
Right.
I don't believe, however, that service can only be rendered without compensation.
Mm-mm.
I think we can serve in many ways while receiving compensation for that.
That's
In a business context.
That's true.
If we can serve others who can't repay us. We can give. We can serve those people who can't repay us in any way in this earth anyway. But we can also serve many people and companies who can pay us for that service. Whether it's, again, a service or a specific product that you're selling to them, it's a service. We're providing services, right? And that's what it's called. It's, services. We're providing services. We can get not paid for that, or we can get paid for that. There's two different kinds of things. And I don't think there is a difference, obviously. But if we seek to serve our customer, whatever it is that they need, that's universal. And if there's any distance between their challenge or something that's difficult for them or challenging for them and us, and can we bridge that gap? That is the approach to business. And the more and the tighter connection and the faster feedback loop that we can get there, we're going to be successful. Then we do that for the next customer and the next customer. And so, again, whether it's in Brazil, whether it's in the United States, whether it's in the Philippines or anywhere, any country in Africa, I think the mentality of service and how can I serve my customer and how can I serve my fellow man, it's going to be better. It's going to be great for us.
Right. Excellent. Thank you so much, Shaun. That was Shaun Ritchie. See you later.